Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to CFTA. Today is Friday, May 16th. It is the Right On, Right Now event. Jen Frankel sends her regrets. She chose to...
Is this like an open mic for just like the comedy?
Anything.
Yeah. Getting guitars?
Go for it.
Yeah? Oh, sick. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go see something.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right.
Please introduce to the stage your host, Cenk.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. It's such a beautiful day, and as expected, we have a lower than usual turnout. This is only the second iteration of the show. Every third Friday of the month will be Right On, Right Now. It's normally hosted by author Jen Frankel, but she asked me to make fun of her today because she couldn't make it because she has a date with Gowan. I don't know if anybody remembers that singer. She had a great experience at a concert 40 years ago with him, and she couldn't pass up the opportunity to see him again tonight. So I'm going to take over the hosting. Is this too loud? What do you think? Or am I too loud? No. Empty. So this is Right On, Right Now. Let me just tell you what else goes on here. It's the Center for Talking Arts. So all arts to do with talking. Like on Thursdays, for example, we have comedy nights. And it's an open mic for comedy only. And now it's too low. Okay. And on the first Friday of every month, we have Storytelling Night, which is hosted by our friend Mike Durbecker here, storyteller extraordinaire. And the third Fridays of every month is going to be this, Right On, Right Now, hosted by Jen Frankel usually. So I'm glad I see a lot of new faces here. But not a lot of faces in total, but the faces that I see are new, so thank you for coming out. It's a writer's night, so, you know, it could be something that you've written, that you've memorized, that you can read off a page, maybe song lyrics, could be rap. Someone's going to come back with a guitar, and we're going to hear some singing with the guitar, that's fine too. Basically anything goes, and with the turnout that we have here, there's a very good chance that you could go up twice if you wanted to tonight. You know, we could go another round if there's interest in that. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome. Yeah, come on in. You know, on our comedy night, it's normally a 5-minute set that we suggest people do. But tonight, with the fewer people that are here, we could probably go a little bit longer. The sign-up sheet is over there if you guys are interested in signing up, right on the corner. Well, I guess to get it started off, you know, these days my art form is typically improvisation, but it doesn't really suit the writer's night. So I had to dig up some things that I wrote. And 20 plus years ago, maybe a quarter century ago, I used to have a blog, and I would write, you know, little stories, philosophical insights, that sort of thing, because my background is I'm actually a trained philosopher. You know, what the fuck is that? I mean, I went to school, got graduate degrees in philosophy. But this is, you know, something, well, let me just see here. Which one could I read to you? Let's read. You know, this, I'm trying to find it now. September 9th, 2001, September 9th, 2001. That was 2 days before September 11th. I was on a bus traveling across the entire country of Turkey, starting on the northeast coast, going all the way to Istanbul. Now, back then, they actually, you know, didn't have the super highways and that sort of thing. So the roads, it took about 24 hours. It was a 24-hour bus ride, if you can imagine. And it's quite uncomfortable. Sorry, I didn't think we were going to start this early. Where'd it go? That's not it. This is it. So I'm going to try this, just basically reading what I wrote. It's not very long. I was on a 23-hour bus ride from Rize, Turkey to Istanbul on September 9th, 2001. my shiny new MP3 player was busted, and the cassette Walkman I borrowed from a cousin was drained within the first hour after departure. I was seated at the very back and center of the bus, so I could see everyone's business in front of me. The buses in Turkey have stewards working the aisles, just like on airplanes, and I was able to observe the hard work they put in. I wasn't sure if I would rather work with them instead of sitting for 23 hours. It was also interesting to realize that the entire trip was captained by the same driver who tried his best to exhale his cigarette smoke out of his driver's side window. He made an apologetic statement claiming that despite the smoking ban, it was surely better for everyone's sake that he smoke to keep from falling asleep. I think everyone agreed. People started drifting off, and after several hours of numbing boredom, I was mercifully able to doze in and out of short stretches of sleep. The first few hours seemed like days, and I fell into a surreal haze. The short naps made the trip seem even longer, and during one of these, I had one of those hyper-real and frightening dreams. I was in a tall building in New York. This is 2 days before 9/11. We heard a tremendous noise and looked out the window as everything started shaking. While we wondered aloud if it was an earthquake, the building directly across from us just crumbled before our eyes and disappeared to the street below. I immediately knew what was about to happen, and to our horror, the walls around us started to cave in and everything went dark. I instantly knew that we weren't going to make it out of there alive. I heard a ringing bell, and a very distant yet familiar bittersweet feeling started to come over me. As our building started to fall down, I was transported back to recess break in my grade 4 schoolyard. Children can play as hard as any adult can work, and during some of those games, we would become so entirely immersed that we would completely forget where we were, what time it was, or that it would ever have to end. Only when the bell rang were we brought back to the reality that we had left completely behind. Only then were we reminded that it all had to end, and only then did we experience that bittersweet feeling within which one simultaneously appreciates the value of the game just as the tragic realization of its ending sets in. That's all. So just to get it started, I don't have the list in front of me, so if Mike could pass it to me, that'd be great. Thank you. Now, some of you are just watching, some of you are going to sign up, but we often have nights like this where people just come to watch, and by, sometime during the night they say, you know what, I'm going to go up. So if that happens to you, come up and sign up anytime. Our first performer, someone new? Yes, it's all good. Don't worry about it. You want to go first? I went first. You're second. No. Okay, we'll skip over. Neve. Nev? Okay, there you are. You're up.
Am I?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a guitar?
Oh, I thought you were going to bring a guitar?
No, I
Oh.
never. Yes, it's okay.
Can you sing a cappella?
No.
Okay.
It's okay, I'll bring my guitar next time.
Okay. Are you ready, Allison? Yeah, Allison's going to come up. Let's give her a hand. Allison!
Hi, I'm, oh, sorry, it's all right. Okay. Hi, I'm Allison. I'm a romance author. I have a book coming out in August, and I spent hours trying to figure out which excerpt to read because it's really hard to read romance novels excerpted and not have it sound really silly out of context. I eventually landed on this scene. Are you guys just gonna like wave at me if I go over 5 minutes? Sure, that's fine. Cut the mic? Okay. So for context, my novel's set in England in the Middle Ages. My characters, Matthew and Elizabeth, are both serfs, subsistence farmers, peasants. They have decided to get married because Elizabeth has gotten pregnant out of wedlock by someone else who is not going to marry her, and so he's agreed to do it to take care of her, and he also is in love with her, which she does not know. So this is, from his point of view, yeah, yeah, sorry, I'm new at this. Some people, Matthew reflected, might call it cowardice for him to delay telling his sister about his upcoming marriage. Those people might well be right. It certainly wasn't an act of courage to avoid it, but he knew full well how badly she would react, and he felt he had to gather up all his courage before he made any attempt at that conversation. The first person he told, out of necessity, was the priest. Fortunately for him, he caught Father Barnabas on an afternoon when inebriation had made him agreeable rather than quarrelsome, and he made no objection to the match. That taken care of, Matthew proceeded toward home, stopping at Barbara's house along the way to inform her of the news. She at least offered her unbridled congratulations. Finally, he made the decision to bypass home entirely and walk down to the tavern instead, feeling more than a little in need of a drink. He found one there, along with his friend Roger Urry, who took one look at him and burst out laughing. "Come now, out with it." "Out with what?" Matthew seated himself on a stool and took the tankard Roger thrust into his hands. "I've said nothing to suggest I have any news." "Your face speaks loudly enough." Roger sat down on the stool beside him and leaned eagerly forward. "You look like my sister's son when he's trying to keep a secret from his mother. I don't suppose you've received news of some great inheritance? Did someone pay you with a purse full of diamonds? Already I'm near death from suspense." "I don't look like any such thing," Matthew said. At least he hoped he didn't. News of the marriage would be out soon enough, but he didn't want a chance revealing Elizabeth's secret because he couldn't keep his face in order. "But if you must know, and I suppose you will soon anyway, I'm to be wed. I've just come from arranging things with the priest." Roger whooped loudly enough that several men sitting nearby turned to look at them and reached out to clap Matthew on the back. "My congratulations to you, and who will be the good lady?" Matthew snorted. "I hardly thought you would be glad to hear it, given your philosophy of love." Roger went through women the way Matthew went through firewood. It was a shock to Matthew that he had so far avoided being chased by any angry fathers or furious cuckolds, though he boasted of his exploits with half the married women of Linden. He also prided himself on his unwillingness to take a wife of his own, an outlook which Matthew wholeheartedly approved of. He couldn't imagine what sort of woman would be able to bear Roger's philandering with good grace. "Oh, but that's my philosophy." Roger waved a dismissive hand. "You, on the other hand, are one of the most bafflingly chaste men of my acquaintance. If you refuse to take a lover, then it will do you good to have a wife in your bed." He smiled, fox-like. "My only question is, who shall be the wife? Elizabeth Faintree?" Matthew spluttered on a mouthful of ale. "How? I didn't—" "You hardly needed to," Roger laughed. "Come now, did you think it was not plain for all to see how you pined for her? I would be far more shocked if you had chosen anyone else. Tell me, though, how did you convince her? I thought she would remain with that mother of hers until she was dry as a prune." "She's only 19 years old," Matthew said a little sharply, "hardly an advanced age." "Hardly young either, so far as marriage is concerned." Roger kicked his legs out in front of him, leaning back on the stool. "Especially as I don't recall her ever entertaining the idea before. There are girls who go unmarried all their lives because they've nothing with which to tempt a man, but she's hardly that. She could have been wed years ago and had her pick of men into the bargain. I'm simply curious as to how you prevailed upon her to accept." Matthew sighed. "You make it sound as though I browbeat her into it." "Oh, hardly," Roger laughed again. "Truth be told, that's why I thought the two of you would never be wed. Between her reticence and your refusal to declare yourself, it would have taken a saint's intervention to push you to the altar. So tell me, how did you do it?" Matthew did several rapid calculations in his head. He had no intention of telling Elizabeth's secret about town, and certainly not for Roger's benefit. He could simply say that they had discussed it and agreed, as good friends, that they would be each other's best match. On the other hand, Elizabeth had told him that she was 3 months gone with child, and it would be near 4 by the time the wedding took place. When the child appeared only 5 months after they stood before the altar, their friends and neighbors would draw the obvious conclusion, and staking his claim to fatherhood now could hardly hurt them. "If you must know," he said, "certain events made it necessary that we wed in some haste." Roger stared at him for a moment, then burst out in raucous laughter. Several of the men sitting nearby turned to glare at him again. "My God, I never would have thought it of you. I'd have supposed you a candidate for the monastery before I ever conceived of you, well, conceiving." He looked far too pleased with himself at the pun. "And may I put myself forth as a godfather to the little one?" "You may not," Matthew said with some fervor. He didn't even want to contemplate the spiritual fate of a child who had Roger as its moral guardian. Hellfire, most likely. Elizabeth and I could hardly be blamed if we kept the child from your malign influence altogether. Roger clutched dramatically at his heart. You could never be so cruel. No, Matthew said, permitting a small smile, I couldn't. He and Roger were not friends of such long standing as he and Elizabeth were, but he had known Roger for many years now, since he had first become Edward's apprentice, and there was a certain fellowship between them. Matthew could never live Roger's life as the insouciant son of a prosperous merchant, just as Roger could never live Matthew's as the orphan son of villains who was forced to work hard for his bread. But he enjoyed the time he passed in Roger's company, and he would be sorry to lose him as a friend. I suppose it must be a loss to you, Roger said more thoughtfully, that your wedding night will not be passed with a virgin bride. I'm told some men enjoy that sort of thing, although I admit I'm perplexed as to why. He shrugged. But as you two have already had your pleasure of each other, at least you know the marriage bed holds no surprises. The ale Matthew had drunk churned suddenly in his stomach. He had not considered the wedding night, nor any of the nights they would pass after it. Of course, they would share a bed as a matter of practicality, if nothing else. Matthew owned only one. But would he ask Elizabeth to share it with him in the truest sense, to be his wife in deed as well as word? The idea certainly held a great deal of appeal for him. It wasn't as though he hadn't privately dreamed of what it would be like to take her in his arms, but did she want that? He could not, would not, force any act upon her that was not of her choosing, but they would be sleeping side by side for the rest of their lives. It occurred to him for the first time that they may have just entered into a pact of torturous chastity, the like of which he had never anticipated or planned for. He lifted the tankard to his mouth once again and drained the whole thing in one swallow. The wedding night was some weeks away yet. He would have time to plan for it. In the meantime, his only immediate plan was to get thoroughly drunk. And that is it for that, that is it for that excerpt. If you would like, I have business cards with me with a QR code to pre-order the book. You can come see me. I'm sitting on the couch over there if you want to pick one up. And thank you.
Great. Allison, thanks. Maybe stay up for just a sec. We could just ask a couple of questions. Yeah. So it's interesting. Romance novel. Have you written other genres as well? Or?
Yes, I've written a horror novel. I've published some horror short stories, both under my real name, which is Laura. The horror novel is currently kind of sitting on a back burner. I did the rounds with agents, didn't get any bites, so I'm letting it sit for a bit. And the romance novels I'm self-publishing.
Oh, wow. So what do you think about the writing as a business?
Do you really want that answer?
Well, yeah, because it seems like it's completely changed over the last generation and it's continuing to change again.
Well, I can tell you, the reason I'm self-publishing these books specifically is because when I queried it, I got a lot of answers saying, we really like your book, I really enjoyed reading it, I really like the characters, but we don't think we can sell a historical romance novel that's about peasants. Like, they need to be
Right.
lords and ladies or we can't sell it. And I was
Isn't
like,
that interesting? Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, that was my response too. Like, I had one agent say, well, what if you took like this minor lord character, he's the baby's father, he's in like a couple chapters, and make him the main character, and then these two can be like a secondary couple. And I was like, no,
Sounds
I'm
like-
not gonna do that.
Oh, Hollywood producers giving notes to the movie. Yeah.
It is,
that
it is.
sort of
And- but
thing,
I'm grateful that these agents did tell me that, because otherwise I'd still be banging my head against a wall like, why am I not getting anywhere with
Right,
this? And now I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I can forge sort of my own path publishing. It's a lot more work, obviously. There's a lot more hustling involved, but I'm glad that I have the creative freedom to write the characters whose stories I want to tell, as opposed to writing what people say is marketable.
Right, and this is the fine line I guess you got to keep on. Thank you very much, Allison.
you.
That's great. Thank you. Okay. So I guess we have a musical act coming up next. Nev. Yeah, you know, lyrics are also written. Music writers.
I mean, it's not original. I don't write
It's
original
fine.
cover.
For now, tonight's kind of a anything goes night. Come on up.
All right.
Nev.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll take it. Why not? Is that the weed box? I'll just play from here. Thanks. All right.
Okay. It's Nev, everyone. Yeah.
Hey, Tumstar. All right, I don't know. Do I need the mic? I don't need the mic. I'm just gonna yell at you. Just like.
Yeah, please use the mic because
Oh, do
we're
I?
also live streaming this on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
the devil. Here you go.
It's the diavolo.
It's the devil.
It's the diavolo. Awesome. I guess that'll work.
When it's front like this, bitch.
I'll just sing through my neck.
It's fair.
Oh. So this is live streamed, right? Okay, let me figure out the. And then. Hold on. Okay. Okay, let's do some Erykah Badu. Let's do some Big Lady. This is not a comedy act. Sing along, of course. Bag lady, you gon' hurt your back, dragging all them bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you how you must hold on to is you, is you, is you. One day, all them bags gon' get in your way. I said one day, all them bags gon' get in your way. I said one day, all them bags gon' get in your way. Something. Girl, I know sometimes it's hard and we can let go. Oh, when someone hurts you, oh, so bad inside, we can't stop crying, you can't deny it. So let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Bag lady, you gon' miss your bus. You can't hurry up, 'cause you got too much stuff. When they see you coming, brothers take off running from you. It's true, oh yes they do. Ooh, one day he's gonna say you crowd in my space. I said one day he's gonna say you crowd in my space. I said one day he's gonna say you crowd in my space. Thank you. Do I just one song or two? Oh, all right. Shit. All right, what am I gonna do next? This is what happens when you just like see a sign, open mic, walk in. Sha sha sha, Charmin. No, look at the Charmin commercial. All right, I'll do a Lonely Boy by the Black Keys. You guys know that song. Well, I'm so above you and it's plain to see, but I came to love you anyway. So you pour my heart out and I don't mind bleeding. Any old time to keep me waiting, waiting, waiting. Oh, 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 I got a love that keeps me waiting. Oh, 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 I got a love that keeps me waiting. I'm a lonely boy, I'm a lonely boy. Oh, oh, I got a love that keeps me waiting. Well, your mama kept you, but your daddy left you, and I should have done you just the same. But I came to love you, am I gonna bleed? Any old time to keep me waiting, waiting, waiting. Oh, 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 I got a love that keeps me waiting. Oh, 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 I got keeps me waiting. I'm a lonely boy. I'm a lonely boy. Oh, oh. I got love that keeps me waiting. And thank you. That is 3 minutes of your time we'll never get back.
Check. Thank you. Thanks, Nev. So, do you also write songs?
No.
No? Okay. Maybe you should try. You're a good performer, singer, yeah?
I don't
Probably do
know.
it.
I complain in real life a lot, so I have no
Do you?
material. Yeah.
Well, complaints
I'm
make...
an extrovert, right?
I can tell.
I tell you all my problems right away.
That's great for
I got the
songwriting.
material left.
Taylor Swift does a good job of that, right? She's just writing about her problems. I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, right. Thanks very much, Nev. All right. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to just be a little indulgent and maybe read 3 very, very short poems that were also written over a quarter century ago. Because poetry is also would be welcome here tonight, too. I guess this was at a time when I was going through a very long and difficult breakup. So I was writing things that kind of reflected that. So here's a very short poem. I told you before the ship went down that I was already drowning. That's it. That's that one. Another very short poem. I climbed the pillars and undo the heavenly hatch. Let's pretend it's not too late to die young and leave a beautiful corpse. Okay, another very short one. Maybe this is a little too on the nose, but I am a river, you are a pond. I wish we were an ocean. Anyway, thank you. Next up, we have a person that I guess I had a conversation with last time. Very interesting young man. And he has a name that's really made for this kind of thing. His name is Story Road. Story, come on up.
Curse at it. Condemn its family. So it's still awesome.
Thank you.
They're going to help.
So I came up the last time we did one of these, and I didn't expect to, and it was kind of like drugs. So you gotta do it again, like most drugs. Because even though I am 26, you can still feel the emboldened stench of adolescence on me as the societal expectations of who you are supposed to be and what you should have done by any given age have long since been retired and have long since expired. But instead of burying them with all the other questionable things that have come to pass, we waltz them around weekend at Bernie style, while we turn our heads and gag at the necrotic display of these ideological guests who have more than overstayed their welcome. Half my life ago, which, if you round up or down, depending on your mood today, is about 8 months ago, someone who's 26 would have had 2 kids fresh out of the pressure cooker, and one more who's still got another 8 months in the oven. At 26, you had a 3rd car, a 2nd mortgage, and a first love lost. But you still had a first major mental breakdown to look forward to. And I ain't talking the kind of breakdown that ruins your day or even your week. I'm talking the kind of breakdown that finds you coked up and dressed down, driving a car that is likely not yours down the left side of a road in a town that has long since been forgotten by map makers. And in this brief moment of clarity between bumps, either in the connotation of the road or the drugs, you catch some concerned faces of the locals as you stop for gas. Though deep down you know that if your skin tone was just a few steps darker, those little old ladies looking at you would have a homicidal, bordering on fetishistic intent behind their sundown eyes. Lots of people say that the cocaine these days just don't hit the same since all the local drug dealers unionized last year. Instead now, at 26, you just end up renting an apartment built for 2, shared by 5. Pets are the new children, plants are the new pets, and televisions haven't come new in a box in years, and instead are just something that you sort of just come to own when one roommate moves out and doesn't want to deal with moving the damn thing. I guess, though, if you break a given apartment down into the qualities of its constituents, you could maybe argue that there is one, possibly 1.5, fully functioning adults living there. Like, if one roommate knows how to cook, one has a car, one has a career, one is engaged, and one got divorced last year, then maybe, collectively, you've ticked enough boxes to be legally, emotionally, morally classified as a bona fide adult. Maybe. There are just all these general, subjective things that are expected of you, but they don't seem to adjust for inflation or gray areas. I mean, is your first love supposed to be the same as your first relationship? You should likely have a mentor by this point in your career, but you should also have a previous mentor who has disowned you, leading your career to be driven by a remedial rage to prove them wrong. This week, the algorithm decided that the next big trend is thinking critically for yourself, thinking critically about yourself, thinking a little bit too much about yourself. Let's maybe reel it back slightly. But don't you go and get too attached to this freedom of thought now, because the next week's big trend is Instagram telling you that Instagramma died in her sleep last night, and while you should be sad, we've only got enough room in the schedule to mourn until the next morning comes, because 26-year-old men are expected to be tough and to be in touch with their emotions, but that doesn't mean we're going to let you cry yet. That's not scheduled to trend until Q3 of 2027. Plus, if you get your tears on your touchscreen phone, it confuses the sensors, which makes it difficult to keep scrolling your life away. Because children are the new pets, and depression is the new morning cup of joe, and explaining to your partner that your meds make it difficult to orgasm is the new foreplay. Consent between partners is growing stronger by the day, but the consent between employer and employee is a slight formality at best. Keep your chin up, kid, just not too high. You've worked here for 8 months now, and we need you depressed enough that you won't realize that you're worth more than minimum wage, but not so depressed that you won't get out of bed for your shift. 26 is the new adolescence, and 8 months is the new decade, and nothing is truly new anymore. It's just all haphazardly rejigged and recycled until we forget what, if anything, was original at one point in time. The news breaks down in crocodile tears as it tells us that the entertainment supply chain issue will probably linger for the coming 8 months. Probably longer than that if the barriers and blockades keeping you from your own thoughts and opinions hold strong. Some claim they invented a new element to build them barriers, something stronger than individual willpower. At least, that's what I heard someone say when they read an article's title out loud on a TikTok reposted to Twitter the other day. Your attention is a currency, and the printing presses can't keep up. You can do your best to speed up the inner motors with a cocktail of stimulants and stabilizers, but the ink will always take the same amount of time to dry. So all new opinions will come out half-printed and smudged, and you will usually end up with a cranial paper jam. And should you need to get that shit fixed, you better think your deity of choice that we have universal health care, because new parts ain't cheap. No, not right now. I just didn't know if I'm saving up.
Thanks, Story. Yeah, very good. Hold on. Maybe we can chat a little bit. Right. Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's kind of like a talk show. You know, we used to have a talk show here. We're going to probably start that back up again soon. 26 years old. So you're basically born right around the millennium.
Yep.
Were you in school during COVID? Or
It was like the later end of my college years.
yeah,
I got
right?
the first year out of COVID, luckily.
It's a very different experience, I sense, for you than it was for me, just because of the technology that's around, right? And also for creative people and artists and writers, technology is very much relevant these days. So there's AI is just happening everywhere for everybody these days. The more I talk to people, the more I realize everyone's using it for something, for fun or for work. Are you employing any of that? What do you feel about?
Yeah, I use it a bit, like I do, like video editing, a little bit of like photo work, but I don't know. I don't use the full generative stuff as much as I probably should, as much as some of my peers do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't have a good reason why. I just
Yeah.
I've played around with it a ton,
Yeah.
but I haven't put it into practice a lot yet because I don't fully know how.
Well, I guess, it's like any tool. It can be used for whatever purposes you want, but it feels like it's something that could be very useful for creative people to come up with really interesting things. And we started using it for some of the posters that we're doing here. That's kind of fun to begin with. But thank you very much, Story. That was great. Thanks. Okay. Next up, where's Sean? There's Sean. Sean Bloom, I don't know Sean, so come on up and, you got a guitar you're going to sing as well? Awesome, great. Is this something you've written, or?
I thought I'd do it. I might do it originally.
That's great. Yeah. Come on up, Sean. Sean Bloom.
Funny, the first time I've been here since it got changed. Last time I was here was I think this used to be the guitar, the acoustic room. So it is kind of funny to be back in what used to be a music store. But this is a cool idea. I love when this first place opened. I've been telling people about it because there's a lot of different events at other venues, but to have a venue dedicated to that is such a great idea. We're 6 feet apart, 16 hours away, feeling desperate to touch you, needing to stay away. Enough room inside my heart for the joy and the pain. I still see the sunshine, standing here in the rain, darling. Ooh, ooh. Staring into the darkness, it's hard to notice the light. You can't remember the reasons. It's hard to put up a fight. We're in this together, though we feel torn apart. Characters in a story, between the end and the start, darling. Ooh. Ooh. We're 6 feet apart, 16 hours away, feeling desperate to touch you, needing to stay away. Thank you. Again, I always good to ask the host if it's one or two, because it's like, actually, I think I might do a cover. Sundown in the Paris forests of the prairies. We kings have all the treasures buried. All you hear are rusted breezes pushing around the weather vane, Jesus. And as Zipper sees the killer's face, maybe it's someone standing in the killer's place. 20 years for nothing, well that's nothing new, says. No one's interested in something you didn't do. We kings and pretty things. Let's just see what the morning brings. Sorry, I forgot the third verse of that song. That's because of the fourth one, because I forgot. A breaking story on the CBC. A nation whispers we always knew that he'd go free. They had you can't be fond of living in the past. As if you are, then there's no way that you're gonna last. Sweet kings and pretty things. Let's just see what tomorrow brings. We kings and pretty things. That's what tomorrow brings. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That was really good. Sean Bloom. Sean, did you just happen to walk by tonight and come in? Is that what happened?
Actually, my friend never told me about it, so I was like,
Oh, okay.
'Cause I'd seen that place, but like a lot of times, honestly, until on Fridays and Saturdays, usually I'm busy, so I'm like, suddenly it's like, oh, it's Friday, I'm not working, and
Oh,
it's
perfect.
Cool. Plus, honestly, again, I'm a big fan of the open mics.
Yeah.
Especially, what I love about this one, I'm glad I checked it out because I love how much more open it is. I've been to a few times before where they tried to open it up a bit more, like the Staircase, I think, has had one like that before, but especially at a place like that's dedicated to like the speaking arts.
Yes.
And so every time I get a chance, it's like when I see, and a lot of times too, when I'm seeing other people at open mics, and specifically if I see poets and things like that, I'm like, hey, do you?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Specifically
Yeah.
because you're very dedicated to that. So
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
And
Focused,
the
but
space
yeah.
is amazing.
It's focused, but it's a wide range of arts, right?
Exactly.
So-
Like when I first saw
yeah.
the first promotional stuff, I'm talking about like you could like your own poetry, you could stuff from like plays, like all like
Yeah.
having it open to all that stuff makes it very very welcoming.
Poetry,
It's a
rap.
it's very
yeah.
cool and intimate space.
It is. Yeah. I think it's worked out quite well. Thank you for taking part. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thanks.
All right. So next up, another gentleman. I think this is the first time on the stage here as well. Aaron Jacob. Aaron, thank you. Come on up.
Okay. Could maybe a little lower, or is this? Yeah, all right, that should do the job. Hi, everyone. I think sometimes there's a time when an idea creeps into your head and it just finds its way there. And in this case, it was like a fog that had come in. And the idea was, I don't belong. And in this particular case, the story I'd like to share with y'all is, I don't belong going to family events. And I'll walk you through exactly why. Going to family events over the last little while has taken a toll on me because there's these particular buckets of people who I meet at my family events. And it can be the Christmases, the Easters, the Thanksgivings, the birthdays, whatever the event is, the same group of flock of people, the family that come together. But they all fall into these different buckets. There's bucket number one, which is the young men in the group. And the young men in the group have a giant TV screen on with a sport playing, and they're yay sports for the whole group. That's bucket number one with people. And every interaction involves these young men talking about sports and the stats that go with the sport. I don't seem to fit into that group, so I don't belong there. Then there's bucket number two, which I'd like to refer to as the young women, which are the breeders. And these women are in different stages of child rearing. They're dealing with pee, puke, poop, or feeding, input or output. That's what their entire activity in the family event is. Young women in different stages of child rearing, whose entire, interaction over there is with this. There's that. Then there's the older men who have now marinated their livers with cognac to the point where, they're half in the bag almost all the time. And every conversation is a conspiracy theory from the old world and new come together with the WhatsApp interactions that they have had. So it's a very interesting group of people, but I don't fit in there as well. And those are the uncles. And then there's the fourth group, which I'd like to call the aches and pains aunties. Aches and pains aunties are the menopausal women who all they have to talk about are aches and pains, and please stay away from them because any interaction you have with them, they will cause you pain. So you have to learn to stay away from them because the questions they are going to pose are so poignant and will hurt you, not just then, for the months to come after. I don't fit in there either. Then comes the last group, which was the group to which I belonged for the longest time, but I've aged out of that demographic, and that's the basement crew. The basement crew used to be the ones that were watching something, they were making pillow forts there, jumping across. That doesn't happen anymore. Now they're content consumers with a main screen running some content in the background, and they all come with their own consoles or mini screens, and they're consuming there, and the place is quiet. And you go there to try to interact with them, and they're like, what are you doing down here, ick? So for the ick factor, you don't go down there except to make sure that they have drinks and food and stuff, and then you go back up because it's an eerie place. So among these 5 crews, going to a family event, unless you are hopped up on a psychedelic of some sorts, there isn't any other way of doing it. And that's a lesson learned. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Aaron. May I ask what ethnicity? Because
South Asian.
South Asian, yeah. Because it's very similar to, I guess, that I'm from a Turkish background.
Yeah.
And you have all these. So how old are you?
I'm 40.
Wow, yeah, you look a lot younger. Yeah, that's great. So have you been writing?
I'm an academic when the opportunity allows itself, but yeah.
In what field are you an academic?
Information sciences.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you must be very keen on all the recent developments. Yeah.
Yeah. And that doesn't give a lot of hope either.
No.
No, I think we're dealing with a lot of slop and people who are used to friction-free interaction. So most of the young people, even family friends, all of them, they'll never talk to you about a topic that'll cause friction.
Yeah.
So
right.
it's like the example I'd like to give is a pineapple on pizza. It's the kind of question that you can pose where you can agree to disagree and it'll surface level. There's nothing that'll go down deeper than that.
Right.
That kind of interactions is all you can expect from most people.
So it's not just an age thing. You think most people are.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Just how
It's
we.
because they don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with anything over that.
And is that a recent thing? Was it
No, I
different when you were younger?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it was easier to like have like and like a beef with someone on something passionately.
Yeah.
Today that happens in like a thread on a Reddit group
Yeah.
or somewhere,
Yeah.
and that's the last place you want to have that kind of thing.
Right.
But it has resorted to that rather than people don't do it over
Yeah.
this thing. You can't agree to disagree with someone anymore.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's different when you're anonymously conversing with somebody and versus actually being in the same room with someone.
Yeah.
There's a lot more frequencies at play
Yeah.
when you're together in a room with somebody. It's not just the sound. I mean, even like the air is
Yeah.
moving and getting in your ear, so it's a form of touch.
The cadence,
Like,
the,
yeah.
the kind of things you can talk about, the
Yeah.
the mannerisms, all of these things you have to account for. Whereas the other one, it's like you're a keyboard warrior,
Yeah.
and you can get away with a lot of things.
Right.
It's the drone warfare
Right.
effect
Right.
on discourse.
It's a narrower
Yeah.
range.
and
Yeah.
and I mentioned drone warfare because it's kind of like you never get the shrapnel at you. You're doing it from afar.
Right.
So yeah, that's sort of there's no
isolated and alienated from
yeah,
it.
yeah. Whereas if you want to have a, chat with somebody about something in person and you're passionate about it, there's sparks flying.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
Well, this is part of the reason we started up this space. Like, it's
Yeah.
a place where a small space where we can get together and
Right.
talk in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you. Take
Yeah,
care.
that's great. Thank you. All right. I think we have just one more performer, Mike. So before he comes up, I'm just going to read another, story or something, I guess. Has a little bit of philosophical import to it. During my morose teenage years, the Smiths played their one and only Canadian concert at Canada's Wonderland in the summer of 1985. That's 40 years ago, holy shit. And I was there. I had to open the convenience store in the morning that day in Hamilton Mountain and worked there until mid-afternoon. After work, we piled into my blue Renault and headed up to the Kingswood Concert Theatre north of Toronto. We got there well before the concert, but too late to see Morrissey and the opening act, Billy Bragg, gallivant through the park. You guys remember those people? Yeah. Okay. No kidding. Wow. Amazing. You were there? Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. They had apparently taken advantage of their free park passes and tried nearly every ride and roller coaster on the premises. They were followed by a posse of young fans, some of whom got a little too much celebrity intimacy when both singers apparently puked during one of the rides. Yeah, about midway through the concert, Morrissey introduced the song by laughing and saying, "This is a song about our favorite subject, still ill." That's a song, Still Ill. By then, the story about their misadventures had made it around to everyone in the crowd, and we all laughed at the inside joke. There's a question posed within this song. Does the body rule the mind, or does the mind rule the body? Descartes couldn't even be sure that he had a body. The only thing that he could be certain of was that he thought, and therefore he was. So the mind was primary, and the body followed. Plato, before him, considered the realm of ideas to be the true reality, and the realm of experience to be merely shadows of that more basic truth. Sometime between them, Buddha, Jesus, and countless other holy men spoke of the body as merely a husk that housed the kernel of the soul. Throughout most of Western and Eastern thought, the body is relegated as a secondary and profane adjunct to the true reality that is somehow separate and distinct from the mind. The so-called mind-body problem arises when we have to consider how two totally different modes can affect each other. It is not really until the previous century that the mind comes to be seriously considered within the realm of the physical. Materialist thinking reduces the mind to the brain, and thus psychiatry and biology intersect to understand the mind-body problem. This approach is still dominant today and is responsible for the pharmacological approach to mental illness. If you are depressed or manic or violent or can't sleep, then a pill or injection will be administered to alter your physical chemistry in order to achieve desired changes within your brain to therefore alter your mind. The physical is now understood to be primary basis that can affect the mental. But what about the placebo effect? This seems to be a process that goes in reverse. If you give someone a regimen of non-medicated sugar pills, but tell them that they contain powerful medicine, then in many cases these people will undergo physical changes similar to the people who are given the actual medicated pills. The power of positive thinking has also been well and widely documented to affect the speed and extent of recovery from illness. As much as the body alters the mind, it seems clear that the mind can alter the body. This points to the possibility that things are not so clear-cut. It is reasonable to consider that everything around us is comprised of physical matter and therefore subject to physical laws, but that does not preclude the possibility that the mental could be understood as another mode of reality. The study of emergence considers the circumstances when certain properties arise out of more fundamental properties, but is irreducible to them. The process is uncomfortably similar to magic, but nevertheless employs a useful language in which to frame our understanding of exceptional things like mental events. When Morrissey poses the question, he wisely and immediately answers, I don't know. I don't know how he says it. I don't know. British. Because there isn't a black and white answer to that question. Each rules the other, and they can spiral upward or down. When I'm down, I don't feel like going to the gym, which brings me down further, and I'm even less likely to exercise. This positive feedback loop can be altered and stopped dead in its tracks simply through the act of making a decision. I can decide to break the loop and start a new one. If I'm busy doing productive and enjoyable things, then my spirits are lifted and I'm capable of doing more. I'm going to go to a yoga class tomorrow. Thank you. All right. 40 years ago, Mike was there. We'll talk about that. Mike Durbecker is up next. He hosts a storytelling night, first Fridays of every month. Jamelia, are you going to go up tonight? You want to go first? No? I'm going to wait for you. Okay, Mike's going to go up first. All right. First Friday of every month, Mike hosts a storytelling night here. Come on out for that. It's always a lot of fun. We get a lot of his friends who are, professional storytellers from Toronto and elsewhere. Come on up, Mike. Thank you. All right.
Okay, do you want brutal honesty? Here's my brutal honesty. I've got 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 19-year-old. My 19-year-old is on the autism spectrum. My 10-year-old is precocious. They are home alone this evening. This is the first time. So complete brutal honesty. I'm up here, I'm slightly distracted because I keep waiting for my phone to vibrate because I have been told, and I'm not making up a word of this, my 10-year-old has told me, we can't go in the backyard because there's a family of skunks there. So while I'm on this stage, I'm a little concerned about the fact that, there are a family of skunks in my backyard and that one of my kids might decide, well, they must be gone now. And then they go out and I might come home to some type of craziness. But I'm not going to worry about that. My wife, by the way, is a professional belly dancer, which also does not sound real. I promise you she is. And I mean, she's been here. People have seen her. Yep, okay, they've seen her. She's in Mississauga. None of this has anything to do with the story I was going to tell. And I'm not going to tell the story I'm going to tell because it doesn't have the right feel for it tonight. But I will tell you something that directly relates to what Jake was talking about. And it's a concert. It's not the one that we both were at separately, the Smiths concert, because speaking for both of us, we're old. It wasn't that one. I went to a lot of concerts at Canada's Wonderland in the 1980s. The one I really wanted to go to, and again, I do realize I'm old, okay? It's Don Henley. Boys of Summer? Yeah, he was one of the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. Okay, I know I'm quoting the Big Lebowski, which I've never liked. I know I've got a hair like the Big Lebowski. But I've never liked the Eagles in particular, but I always liked Henley's solo stuff. And I was going through a phase when he played the concert, which was around 1987, where I was spending a lot of time scamming my way into parties. This is an art form that I have since lost. What I would do, I went to a performing arts high school, so I knew lots of artsy people. And they would occasionally get invited to balls and to parties downtown and openings for plays and stuff like that. I didn't want to see the plays because I couldn't afford it, but I could talk my way into the cast parties, especially the ones that were at hotels that were actually exclusive. The way I did it was I would show up looking, half like I wanted to be there and half like I was indifferent. And I'd say, excuse me, hi, yeah, Janice Haberlin left a ticket for me. I don't have it with me. Is there any chance I'm in the book? And the maitre d' would look at the book and go, okay, your name's not, what's your name? Mike? Megan? No, it's not here. I'd say, oh, no, it's okay. I just wondered. You know Janice? I would use that name because this woman would organize like national ballet parties and stuff. So her name was known by people who did that sort of thing. Even if she had nothing to do with the party, the name would be familiar. I got into a lot of parties. I got a lot of free drinks. I got a lot of free food. I never got thrown out. So Don Henley, back to that whole tangent, was playing Canada's Wonderland. He sold out very quickly. The song The Boys of Summer was still really popular at the time. I couldn't get in, but a buddy of mine said, well, no, we could just show up. We could maybe buy scalpers tickets or something like that. I had a better idea. A friend of mine worked for the paper. He worked for the Toronto Star at the time. His name was Richard Hooper. Not going to know the name. He was a film critic, and he knew other film critics. So I said, why don't we go to the box office? Why don't we drop his name? We'll just say, hey, Richard Cooper is he's one of the entertainment people at the Star. He's left us 2 tickets. The worst thing they're going to do is say, no, there are no tickets, and then we go home. This was probably not the best idea because Richard might get in trouble, but we were not thinking about that. We didn't think this would work. So my buddy George and I, we go all the way to Canada's Wonderland, and we do the entire formal, hi, we have tickets waiting for us. Oh, do you have them there? We can come back in 20 minutes if you can't find them. You can call the paper if you want. Yeah, it's okay. We'll come back in 20 minutes. We walk around. We don't think this is going to work. We're already making plans to do something else. However, 20 minutes later, we go to the box office, and they say, yeah, oh yeah, we've got them. And they hand over 2 tickets. And they are designated seats, like actual seat numbers. We thought we'd end up on the grass with everybody else. So this is a little weird. But we walk in and we're thinking, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're go in there and we're not going to sit in those seats because if they figure out we're not actually these people we claim we are, we haven't given our names. We just said we're with somebody from the Toronto Star. They're going to figure it out. They're going to throw us out. They're going to nail us for trespassing or something. So we get in there and we realize the tickets are like 3rd from the front, dead center. So we can't pass this up. We just have to be ready to run if a security guard approaches us. We see the concert. The concert is for a guy, who had big songs in the 80s. If you don't know his name, it doesn't matter. For us, at the time, it was great fun. And at the end of it, we're trying to sneak out as quietly as possible because I'm still convinced that we're going to get nailed by somebody for trespassing. And he's got 2 curtain calls, and the show goes beautifully. And as we're leaving, we're going through the aisle, it's crowded, and we're going, okay, we made it. Security guard, boom. Hand on my shoulder and goes, wait here. We wait. We don't move. Not a millimeter. And he comes back a minute later. He's got 2 really ominous-looking gray packages and goes, T-shirts. So we walk out. We've just seen a concert that was sold out with arguably the best seats in the house for nothing. We have T-shirts. We have a CD and a tape of the show. We have, there was some food in there. I forget what it was. And we got to his car and I said, okay, we got away with this. What do we do next? He said, I want an audience with the Pope. I don't recommend this as a pastime, but 40 odd years ago, it was a great fun. That's all I got right now. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Added bonus, this is the first time I've ever performed wearing my glasses.
Oh, really? Yeah. Do you need them to read or to see distance?
To see distance. I just usually take them off when I perform.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Like, I can't read with my glasses on, so I have to take them off to read. So 85 was the year. That year in particular was amazing at Kingswood. You had the Smiths.
The Smiths, Joe Jackson,
yeah.
Squeeze.
Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
Yeah,
Eurythmics, Midnight Oil.
Yep.
The Cure.
The Cure, and there was one more. I didn't see The Cure.
The Fix was there too.
Yeah, I saw the Fix. When I saw the Fix open for something else, because we're old, remember?
That was like the best of the 80s album right there. Yeah.
Eurythmics.
I don't know if I made it to that one. Yeah, I don't think I
Amazing.
did.
Annie
Yeah.
Lennox coming out in this really heavy looking, slightly bondage looking black outfit. Midway through the show in this thick Scottish accent goes, "I'm a wee bit warm, boys. You mind if I take this off?" And 2,000 guys going, no, it's okay, we don't mind. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And takes it off to show off a black leather bustier. A lot of guys came of age exactly just then.
She made
In every
the-
sense of the term. Yeah.
the brush cut hot for women.
Oh, yeah. No, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And just like within 2 years, I think, did I actually pay to see those groups? Because I was too cool for it by that point, allegedly.
Allegedly. The Eagles, yeah, I thought I didn't like them either, but then you go through like they have like 50 hits. It's incredible. Like all these songs that you would just hear as a kid, and you didn't realize who they were. It's just, songs from the 70s.
I guess I overdosed
Yeah.
on it. My sister had all their albums. I could never stand it, but I always liked Don Henley's solo stuff. I loved Boys of Summer.
Yeah.
That entire album, it brings me back to a very specific time. So that's my sentimental attachment.
Yeah. 85 was, I guess that's what the post-punk era was just starting. It was, went from punk to new wave, post-punk.
Something like that. I have
Yeah.
horrible taste in pop. I gave it all up for jazz. Or for classical, or for weird atonal, like
Were you ever into Rush?
No.
Yeah.
I know people who worship them devotedly, but no, I was never into it.
Yeah, I discovered them at a very young age, and I loved Rush. I was really into it. But then later on, you kind of had the sense that maybe you should be embarrassed that you liked them so much. And then it wasn't cool for a while. But yeah, then you realize, that's really good musicianship. But I just don't listen to them anymore. But pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's more for the mind and less for the body.
Yeah, I respect it, but I will never sit down and spend an hour listening to a whole album.
No, yeah, not anymore. But thank you very much,
You're very
Mike.
well, thank you.
I'm not sure. Jamelia, are you coming up tonight? Yeah, come on up. You could read something you've written. Yeah. Okay, look it up. Take a minute. Jamelia is actually the very talented chef that makes the food that we sell here, the Jamaican patties and the kiftes. They're delicious. You could try them sometime. What do you think?
I think
You can do it.
all I have on here are my dreams.
Oh, that's fun. Read your dreams. There you go.
Okay.
Do you have like a comportment to dreams that are? Do you think of them as important? Well, come on up and then we'll talk. Yeah, come on up. We'll talk. That's all right. We got to do that, right? Do you think of dreams as kind of like mystical, magical things? Do you think of them as like neurological events, or how do you feel about dreams? Are they?
I think dreams are very much so prophetic messages.
Mm.
I guess guidance
Yeah.
on things, I think. It's just up to you to decode your dreams and to look at the symbolisms of them. But I dream every single night, and sometimes when I wake up, I can remember the dream. I have a dream journal, so I write down my dreams right away, and then I take my time and think about it and dissect them. And then sometimes I wake up, and as I wake up, it's like the dream is floating away, and I'm like, no.
Oh
come
yeah,
back.
yeah. Different state of mind that's hard to catch.
Well, I feel like maybe subconsciously I wasn't supposed to remember the dream, or maybe my mind is working too quickly that the dream kind of goes away. But I've dreamed things and they've actually happened, and I've done things in my dream where I'm like, I did this before, so
Oh
like
wow,
deja
yeah,
vu.
a familiar feeling. Yeah, that little thing I read before. I'm not into the mystical, especially back then. I was not into this mystical stuff. But like a day and a half before 9/11, I have a dream when I'm inside a tall building in New York that falls down and the other one falls down. So weird. Like it really took me a long time. What the fuck does that mean? Like, does that mean anything? Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know.
No, your spirit knew that
Or
something was going to happen. But
some
you were-
collective feeling,
you
maybe.
were there.
Yeah.
You experienced that.
So weird. So I look forward to hearing about your dreams. Let's see what you got. Thank you.
Okay.
Jamelia.
Hi. I first want to say that I really like this space. I think it's a wonderful space, and I enjoyed everybody's performances and everything that you shared this evening. So I'm going to I'm going to read my dream that I wrote. Okay, so my green Chevy Hoopty was stolen. A syndicate of thieves were stealing cars from the parking lot, accepting several e-transfers, 500, 490, 290, getting into a fight with my brother, talking about diseases and germs from hotels, trying to catch a flight. Toronto is Jamaica discussion, pronunciation of words. Monk looking for something, for the same thing as me. A moving sculpture of Kanye West, a very exaggerated piece. Mind you, this is all what I'm dreaming. Dream of driving on a racetrack with another car and trying to overtake the car and then witnessing myself and somebody else that I know, so Raheem, getting into a rollover accident, not realizing that it was us. We were not injured at all, and the truck had a bit of damage, but not much. I said that is why Jeep is the best vehicle to own. Dream of being on a construction site, watching a crane or plastic chute going around the side of a building. An orangutan in a dress living in my grandmother's room. That was actually scary, by the way. I threw Anaya, which is my niece, out of the window, and she landed on rocks, face first, and was crying. We tried to trick it to come out of the front door, but it found its way back inside because the handle was broken. It looked at us like, really? It wasn't going anywhere. Backyard and neighborhood looking like a wasteland. Color of the soil was gray, and high up in the house, foundation looking like it would cave in. Akiva, which is my little sister, had 2 babies. Anaya, not being treated well, kept being dropped on the floor. Kids in the store trying to rob my credit card. Told the one kid he was all right, but his friend was an idiot. Told him I knew all the tricks already. Nice try. Also, rob rich people, not poor people, like some Albions passing by. A group of women who don't like me. I tried to use deodorant and she took it away from me. Wouldn't let me wash my face. I had soap on it, and they were picking on me. Set me up to fight a woman to death in the washroom. I had to wipe the soap off quickly and fight her. Sorry, this is graphic. I grated her face like cheese. They had arrows to shoot at me. I grabbed them all and tied them. Needed to do my taxes. One taxman said no, more taxes. We laughed. We said we would call someone else. They came by and was treated badly, but I think it was a joke. That's when I went to the washroom. They were women mainly. Guess that's all I dreamed that night. Thank you.
Check.
I don't know, but it was exaggerated. And if I wrote it like that, it was very exaggerated.
So what do you think that means? What is
To be honest with you, I don't even know. Well, that's why I'm trying to figure out, when was this made?
Yeah.
This was April 26th, 2021.
2021. That's during the COVID years. Yeah. I used to smoke a lot of weed, and recently I've cut down. But I've noticed that, I don't know if anybody notices, when you stop smoking weed, you start to dream a lot more, and you remember the dreams, and they're always so incredibly memorable and realistic.
It's true.
It kind of makes me worried that when you're smoking weed, am I not dreaming as much, or am I not remembering it? It seems kind of unhealthy if that's the
I
case.
feel like it just depends on the person, because I used to smoke a lot of weed too and really enjoy weed, but I would always dream. I never not dreamed.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I'm smoking, I don't realize, or I don't notice that I'm not. I'm like, I think I'm dreaming, but it's just when you stop smoking weed, you dream a lot more vividly. Is what I've noticed.
Well, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Because we're all supposed to dream.
Yeah.
You should dream. And it's very interesting. I've experienced dreams where I think we've all had this before, where you wake up from something and it seems so very real. Or if you've hurt yourself in a dream, I don't know if anyone's experienced this before, but I've woken up with marks from
Yeah.
the actual dream.
Wow.
So I think it's just depends on the person. Some of us are just seers, we see.
Wow.
And some of us hear and some of us feel.
I would have called that airy-fairy stuff as a younger person, but as I get older, it's like this stuff seems to, there's some reality to it. It's like, even this notion of like, maybe there's some kind of a collective unconsciousness, I don't know, like we kind of start to, I mean, we're living in the same soup, right?
We are.
Especially this media soup, like everyone's kind of swimming in it.
But
So
the
it's
thing
inevitable
is,
we're going to have similar dreams. And
you said something and it was collective unconsciousness.
Mhm.
And the thing is, the collective has been very much unconscious for a long time. And for the people that were very conscious, they were made to seem that something was wrong with them.
Right.
But during 2020, that's when everybody woke up.
You think, yeah?
Well, yeah,
How so? Woke up in what sense?
because the world literally came to a halt.
Yeah.
You were forced to look at yourself or not look at yourself.
Right. A lot was laid bare. And in fact, I don't know if you noticed, but like the term apocalypse actually just means when everything is laid bare and made obvious. And so people find out what was really happening, in a sense,
Well, this
is what the apocalypse is. And we're having an apocalypse because everyone's kind of figuring out that, you know, what's going on behind the scenes. And
But it's deeper than that, because right now we're in the age of Aquarius.
oh,
So
okay.
the age of Aquarius is the age of knowledge, which is just light. So I'm into all the weird stuff because I'm a weirdo. But this is reality.
Yeah.
This is the reality we live in, and we have to wake up. If you, it's like that scene in The Matrix where the guy's eating the steak, and he's talking about ignorance is bliss. You know, is it?
I don't know. That's not what Socrates would say, right?
It
It's better to
depends.
be a sad Socrates than a happy pig in the mud, is what he would say.
But even though
Yeah.
Socrates was sad, he was happy too.
Right. It's better to be that than to be like an ignorant pig, I guess, in the
Well,
mud,
that's
right?
exactly
Yeah, that might be true.
But the thing
yeah.
is, society has conditioned us to be ignorant. They're depending on us to
Well,
be,
we're better consumers when we're that way. Yeah.
and easier to control.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamelia. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. We had a nice, intimate night here. We're going to do this again every third Friday of the month, and next time it'll be Jen Frankel who will be hosting. First Fridays, Mike's storytelling night, and of course on Thursdays we always have open mic comedy nights, which are always an amazing kind of weird night of I don't know what we get. Like, you know, we have professional comics, we have amateur comics, we have people trying it for the first time. Just amazing stuff. It's always kind of a room full of weirdos. Thanks again. Come out again. Hang out and talk if you like. This is a place to talk. Thank you very much. Thank you.